The show where anything goes. Motivation, mindset, recovery, philosophy, and life. We become who we are through what we experience. We all have a story, and this is My Backstory with Josh Boyer.
All right, we're recording, man.
All right.
My Backstory podcast, part 2 with Marcus Torgerson. Dude, I'm so pumped. Number one, that you were willing to do it. I know your story is incredible because I've heard a little bit of it, and I see all your postings on Instagram, and it's like I don't think you realize the reach that you have. I don't think you realize how many people you're actually touching, how many lives you're essentially changing just by sharing your truth. And so I want to start off by you doing a little brief introduction of who you are for the people who haven't listened to your last episode that you did with me, that are going to listen to this for the first time. What's your name? Where are you from? Just tell a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name is Marcus Torgerson. I'm originally from Vancouver, BC, Canada. I live in Arizona currently. And my story is kind of bounces around like a pinball. From growing up in an abusive alcohol mother environment, horrific student in school, troublemaker, ran with gangs. I mean, basically it's just a shitstorm. Find martial arts when I'm 10. And then basically from 10 till now, and I'm 51, it revolves around either the fitness industry, because I was a personal trainer since 88, to working in nightclubs for 15 plus years, almost 20 years. Being in martial arts since 10, so 1979 till now, it's a humongous time. And their whole journey that goes with that, to the last 10 years, almost 10 years of bouncing around the globe, teaching an Israeli self-defense system called Krav Maga, certifying people to become instructors and all of that. Now, when you have all of that shit combined with being molested, abusive home, just so poor self-esteem, heartbreaks, and just everything that most people go through, which is why you said, the posts that I do on Instagram are somewhat impactful. Really, this, we've talked about this. It's just me talking into my phone. So It's really about me. I'm just talking to me. So the fact that it resonates just goes to show just how many hurt people there are on this planet and how much they need to let stuff out and hear some good positive stuff, minus the bullshit that's in their brain.
Right.
So
I used to be super ashamed of that. I was ashamed of that hurt, and that I didn't want to ever let that out or let that be seen. Right. So you put all these like shields up in front of you, so people think that you're somebody that you're not, and you're not really sharing your truth.
No, or being authentic. You're not being authentic, and you're not being you. And the world has already got a shit ton of is it inauthentic, unauthentic, whatever, fake ass people that, and that's judgmental because they're hurting as well, more than likely, and so they've got to, like we all did, we got to cover, right? We got to sit there and put a force field around, because if we get close to people, they'll see how much of a fuck up we really are, and they won't like us, or whatever. And that's where we spiral into these dark fucking places where gremlins just sit there and they're like, thank God, it was what you've been gone for a while, being all happy. I'm happy you're back. Feed on that shit for, for whatever. And then boom.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, man, like, how are you doing?
Well, I laugh a little bit because this isolation and, don't be around anybody. I've been doing that my whole fucking life, man. So it's this is the people are like, how are you coping? I'm like, yeah, it's just another Tuesday for me. Right. I think the hard part for it is just watching humanity. That's that's the difficult part, is watching people fall apart because they're not used to spending time with themselves for a long period of time, and they can't run away. And I mean, you can only get shit-faced, get high, do whatever for so long before even that's fucking not helping you whatsoever. Right? Right? So,
sure.
and what I think, if we're going to get, I won't get off on this too much, but because you asked how I am, I'm fine. What scares me is the amount of domestics that are going up, the amount of child abuses that are going up, and that's, they're saying they're going up. I'm like, what the fuck? Can you imagine how many are not reported? As usual, right. Like this is nothing new. This is nothing new. It just is accentuated because of the fact that you're in California, so it's really bad. But here it's not, it's stay in and stuff, like he can still move around. But places like New York or California, or where they're really clamping down, I'm terrified for the men and women and children who are having to live in fucking war zones. You know what I mean? And I think that's, when you ask me how I was doing, that's why I just say I'm fine. I'm good. Like, I'm really authentically good, because I'm not living in abusive relationships. I'm not fucking surrounded by negativity. I'm not any of that stuff. I'm just by myself.
So you're really good?
Yeah, I'm really like I'm not bullshitting good. I'm like really good. Obviously I have the same fears like everybody else. Well, shit, what am I gonna do for money? And when am I gonna do this? Well, that kind of stuff. But I have those things anyways. Right? Being self-employed, there's always that instability.
Yeah.
So mentally and emotionally, I'm good. Yeah.
Good, man. I asked that question, and I'm going to be starting every one of my podcasts with that question, because I think we're so like primed to have that knee-jerk response. How you doing? No, I'm good. Everything's good. I'm great. Everything's cool. And for me, like I've done the last couple years, I've decided that I don't want people like that in my life. You know what I mean? It's cool to have like acquaintances and people that are in your periphery, and you don't need to share your whole life story with the bagger at the grocery store if you don't want to. But for me, I don't want to have disingenuous people around me. I don't want to have people that are inauthentic, that aren't willing to like share with me like what's really going on with them. Yeah. And I feel like there's so much power in that. There's so much power in being able to me go to somebody and say, hey, how you doing? And then being able to take on whatever it is they're telling me and actually actively listen to what they have going on. And I may not always have sound advice. I may not have any advice. Maybe I'm just the sounding board. I'm just a way for somebody to vent and get that shit out. Because I can tell you, man, having a guy like you that I know for certain, I could call you anytime of day or night. And if I'm in a bad fucking spot in a dark place, I know for certain you would hear me.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's kind of, we need more of that in the world, because I think there's a lot of people that are suffering in silence and they're not sharing what they got going on,
Right. And then there's and as you said, it was a good point about the lie. Yeah, I'm good. Everything's good. You know what? Okay, but there's, I don't really even know how deep to get on this, but there's a saying, you probably know it better than I do. So when I butcher this, bear with me. Everybody wants to hear your problems, right? So when you're telling them, they don't want to hear them, or they're actually happy that you're going through your fucking bullshit, And so when you have that on a regular basis, because I'm guilty of it too. When you ask me how I'm doing, I said I'm good. Now this is me, Marcus, talking to my boy Josh. I'm telling you I'm good. But for the most part, people ask, and I say I'm good, is because they don't really want to fucking know. Yeah. Nobody really knows. That's like have you ever crossed or walked down the street and somebody says hi, and you're like, hey, how are you doing? And they just keep walking. Nobody wants to stop and actually hear. Like you said, they're not listening to you. They're waiting for their opportunity to fucking talk.
Yep. It's true.
And that's where, like, I personally, that's a big fucking chip on my shoulder, because I have no time for people. You don't want to fucking hear what I have to say because you want to hear what you have to say. Go fuck yourself, because I'd rather talk to myself on the phone. At least I know I'm going to listen.
Yeah. No, it's totally true, man. That's kind of I think listening is it's an art. I think it's a skill, and I think it takes practice, because I think most people are innately selfish and innately a little bit narcissistic, and it's like they want to hear themselves talk. They want to, and a lot of that shit, I mean, to be honest, I think is most people suffer from low self-esteem. Yes. So when they hear themselves talking, they boost themselves up, makes them feel a little bit better or whatever. And sometimes hearing someone else's problems, sometimes their problems, you know, pale in comparison to what you're going through, or vice versa. And it is a skill though, man. And I know the last men's group that I went to, one of the guys, we were in this big group of guys, like 30 of us, right? And he said, the facilitator asked one of the guys in the group, said, "Hey, I want you to point out 2 people in this group that you judged the most." And dude, I was one of them. He fucking pointed me out, and I was like, "Oh shit, I wonder why."
Yeah.
So I could have let it go and just said, "Yeah, he judges me. I don't know why, but it's his judgment. Doesn't matter, right?" I went up to him and I asked him because I just wanted to know for curiosity after the whole group thing. I was like, "Hey man, what was the deal with that? Like, what are you judging me for? Like, what do you got?" He's like, "Well, man, I was telling you a story. We were doing some hape, which is like indigenous like tobacco. It's like snuff, basically."
Yep.
And I was sharing some hape with him, and he was sharing a really deep story with me about his time in the Amazon jungle. And I was completely checked out. I wasn't listening to a fucking word he was saying, and he picked up on it. And I didn't realize it at the moment. I was kind of like just in my own zone, in my own head, like thinking about what we were doing next. I wasn't really present at all.
Present, yeah.
Yeah. And he fucking called me out on it. And I was like, holy shit, dude. Thank you for that. Thank you for like pointing that out. Not only the judgment, but the fact that I was fucking being an asshole and wasn't listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And you know, we've talked a little bit about TBIs and stuff. And
right.
Probably in the last year, because of whatever, I don't like saying that I have a TBI, but I have some kind of brain injury.
Right.
So I'll be talking to you, and if you cut me off, I'll forget what we were talking about.
Yeah.
So what's become apparent when I talk to people is it's not about that I can't remember anymore. It's just the fact that I know you cut me off because I got a big fucking red light that says, "Hey, Marcus, remember you can't remember what we were talking about?" Oh yeah, it's because somebody cut you off because they didn't want to fucking hear you. Or because I'm so intently paying attention to what you're doing while I'm talking, if I read for a second that you're checked out or just whatever, just not really listening, I just shut down. I'm like, okay, good. Yeah, it was good. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. See you. Bye. You know, right. I'm done. Yeah. And people are like, and when people are, if they're paying attention, they'll be like, whoa, hold on. What the fuck just happened? Why'd you just shut down? Right. But for the most part though, I'd say, I don't know. I always like using 90% because it makes such a big deal. I really don't know what the number is, but I'd say a strong percentage of people just are like, oh yeah, good. Yeah. Great conversation. I'm like, yeah, fuck you very much.
Yep.
No, I'm not judging them on the fact that they don't pay attention.
No, it's an observation.
Yeah, I just, you know, you and I both study human behavior, right? Patterns, actions, like these are where we get the truth out of people.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm able to pick up on whether somebody is going in a dark route or they're, you know, being like any change in patterns usually indicates something's going on.
Yep.
Right. And all you have to do is listen and pay attention. You'll fucking find shit out way earlier than they anticipated, if ever, to let you know about it.
Yeah. I think intuition is one of those things that guys like you and guys like me that had, you know, challenging upbringings and were forced to kind of try and control our environments because they were so unpredictable.
Yeah.
I think we have a higher, our intuition is more in tune with people around us and our surroundings because it's part of our safety. And so, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Because there's times where I'll be talking to somebody and I know pretty much instantaneously, like this person is either my people or they're not.
Yeah, or not, yeah.
And it's very simple, you know. So, yeah, I wanted to ask you a question in terms of mental health. I mean, as you know, like this whole podcast series is about mental health. You know, when we lost Rory, I was fucking crushed, dude. Like we've lost a lot of veterans, you know, but for some reason, Rory like had a special, like touched me in a special way. Like he was, a guy that I knew was suffering, but like he got his passion and his purpose by helping other people that were suffering.
Yeah.
And he was like, I considered him a friend, even though we only spent a limited amount of time together. We would text each other and check in and ask how the other was doing, and it was usually him checking in with me. I mean, that was his MO. Hey, how you doing? Always checking in on people.
Yeah.
And so when we lost him, I felt this strong sense of like purpose and like passion to like do something more about mental health, do something more about addressing it and talking about it and like letting people know, man, it's fucking okay not to be okay, man. And there are people out there. I mean, it's very easy to be jaded. It's very easy to be like, most people are fucking assholes. That might be true. Most people don't give a fuck what you got going on in your life. That may be true. But there are a lot of people out there also that care deeply, that really do. And I happen to be one of those guys. And I think having that happen to Rory really kind of like woke something up inside of me, like a new sense of purpose.
Yeah,
and
fair enough. Yeah.
So I want to go down a little rabbit hole with you in terms of mental health. And want to ask you, was there ever a time in your life where you wanted to commit suicide, where you're like, you know what, I want to end it?
Yep. I'm not going to say two separate occasions. I would say two eras or chapters in my life. Once was over a girl, which was fucking ridiculous. And because I got caught cheating. Right. So yeah. It was just fucking stupid. And then, the second time was, after Logan was born, my son, that's when my drinking really was getting out of hand. Even more like, I mean, it got way, way out of hand more after that, but, and see, I'm cautious about going into details because of this when I was in Canada. Right. So, and this is a timeless situation. So I don't want to, or this podcast will be around forever. So I'm just going to say this, that on many a nights, I felt like I didn't have the courage to complete the act. Now I'm thankful I didn't, obviously, but there's many days where, waking up and you're like, fuck, really? Couldn't I have had some miracle aneurysm in my head and just fucking died? Or, I was doing very, very foolish things. Like, not just was I doing stuff where, okay, I can't complete the act. So I would go and do really, really foolish things that should have guaranteed me a death. Right? And nobody, like, I'm no different than anybody who's listening to this right now that has felt the same way. It has to be a bit of destiny and luck to why I'm still here. And for example, your friend Rory finished the act. Right. Okay. And I feel a little weird talking about a guy I don't know, because I know that his impact on the world has been massive. Like, the people that you have on this 12-part series, I think I'm one of the few people who didn't actually know this gentleman. I reached out to him that one time that you set us up, right? Yeah. About the jiu-jitsu thing, and seemed like a good guy. And I'm gonna go back to your question. I have to get this out because I've been holding on to it. It bothers me that Rory couldn't see all these people who are fucking destroyed. I'm not counting his kids. Like, I don't even want to touch that one. I can't touch that one because that's when anger is going to come out. But all the people who are destroyed, their lives are just fucked because he completed the act. I believe that we all think about it. You can't sit there and say, actually, I shouldn't say this. I have a hard time relating to people who are like, well, no, I've never thought about it. I've never thought about it, or I've never tried it, or it's just not me. We talked about this in the last podcast with you. Well, I can't really relate to people like that, because if you're not damaged, well, fuck, why are you talking to me, man? Because I'm all sorts of damaged. And damaged people like to be around other damaged, not like, we attract other damaged people.
For sure.
Because even though you and I have never, except for the podcast, never talked about our similarities in upbringings, yet there's a kinship or a kindred spirit that comes through. And let's just use the mental health part of it. Never mind all the other stuff that you and I have in common. But just the fact that we both fucking considered killing ourselves, both hate who we were in the mirror, both just thought that the world would be better if we were gone. Now, I'm thankful that you and I didn't. And I think that that's why we resonate with so many different people, because when somebody says, I'm good, and you're like, you lying motherfucker.
Yeah, right.
You little bastard. And little bastard is female or male. It's got no gender. But you little fucker, you're going to sit and lie to me about that?
Yep.
And that's why I never lie when people say, about suicide or mental instability. I try my best to be as honest as possible, because I want someone else to feed off of that honesty so that they feel it's okay to open up, and there's where that cycle comes in. If I'm honest about it, then you're honest about it, and then we can be honest together about it. And that generates a circle of healing.
Totally.
And this is why it kills me that your friend took his life. And in truth, even though he's the catalyst for this conversation right now, as we're speaking, I'm going to just round it off to, let's say, 6 people have already killed themselves in the time that we've been talking.
Yep.
Around the world. Yep. Because their temporary problem, they made a permanent solution.
Yep.
And that's a shame, because it really is, while it feels like literally the earth is caving in and the abyss is just kissing you all over your body, it really is just a temporary thing.
Yep.
Right?
It all is.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I laugh when people, Marcus, you're such a fucking movie idiot. And I'm like, well, it can't rain all the time. If you saw The Crow, it can't rain all the time. Right. And Charlie Chaplin said it, nothing good lasts forever. Nothing bad lasts forever either. Right. Our troubles aren't there all the time, just like our good times aren't there all the time. Right. We just dwell on that. We dwell on that. Oh, it's going to be fucking shitty every day, all day. My life sucks. I hate everything, because of the verbiage that they say to themselves, which man, if you can find a way to kill that verbiage, man, you'd be a billionaire.
What are your thoughts on suicide? I mean, as far as, the reason I asked that is because I was telling somebody on another podcast that I used to be pretty judgmental about it, I used to tell people like, oh, don't be such a pussy and check out and this and that. And It wasn't until I got older that I woke up and realized that me saying that was just a way for me to not address the fact that my own darkness could go to that place too. Yeah. And it was a total projection by me judging it. Yeah. And although I'm heartbroken by Rory's decision, and I'm heartbroken for his friends, and I'm heartbroken for his family, I can have empathy for him of where he was in his life,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it?
My thoughts on suicide are, I read this saying that the pain you had just got passed over to someone else. Mm. So, and this is going to, for sure, you or I is going to get some backlash for what I'm about to say. And had I not been in this, like, I'm speaking from experience, so I'm not just talking out my ass. Um, if you ever want to sit there and be like, well, you guys or Marcus, you're really judgmental about people killing themselves, and how dare you be that way? That's when I immediately will grab someone's children and be like, you tell that to this person right now. This child, this woman, this man, this person doesn't understand they didn't know what to do to help you, but because of whatever pain you had, you took it. You're out. Yeah, man, you have no more pain. None.
Right.
Yep, it's all on them. And I am insensitive to giving my cancerous pain that is infected my whole body. I'm insensitive to those that have the same feelings, who are like, yep, I don't want to do it anymore, so I'm just going to go. The world's better without me. And by the way, while I'm going, I'm going to paint all my loved ones with this non-removable, permanent sticking feces all over them for the rest of their lives. You're welcome. So now it's tough to say that, because I know the audience that's listening, especially friends like, your friend that passed and stuff, people are going to be very, very angry. Marcus, you fucking, how dare you speak about that? But have you walked in after somebody's killed themselves? Have you walked in and looked and seen no note? Or you did find the note and you're like, really? Or you're getting that last phone call, says, hey, you know what? I'm gone. See you, bye. Click. And then you know that literally 10 seconds after that, because there's timestamps, that person checked out. I'm sorry, man. I've seen too many kids who wake up every day wanting their mommy and their daddy, and they don't understand why mommy and daddy went away. And what did they do wrong? Hearing a child say, my daddy is gone because of something I did, I'm sorry, man. As a parent, you're never going to sell me on, well, that person was in so much pain that they just couldn't handle it anymore. Yeah. And I know 2 individuals who killed themselves, and they literally had nobody. Literally, like, no person in their life. Yet I can still remember them. Yep. And it still resonates with me. Their loss is still there. And it sucks. I just think it sucks that somebody is like, I'm going to use for a perfect example. Here's a guy who fucking, man, the impact that he had on other people to not suck on a bullet or not hang themselves or not whatever. Like, he kept people alive.
Yes, he did.
And now.
Yep.
Right? So
yeah, it sucks.
I don't want, and I don't want to paint him in a negative light. It kills me that bad choice of words. It bothers me that the little fuckers won. The little bastards won. And so all I can hope is that podcasts like this and friends of his, like you got Mr. Sin, and there's people online who are really like, they'll never let Rory be forgotten.
Right, for sure.
And good. I don't want to forget, but I'm not going to let him be forgotten, because I want to make sure nobody does the same thing he did.
How do we prevent it, do you think?
Well, let's fuck. I'm just ready for the amount of onslaught of shit that you're going to get for this. Remember we talked about drinking?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I believe that every day that you wake up and you say, today is not the day I'm going to kill myself. I'll do it tomorrow. Yep. Tomorrow I'm going to kill myself. As a matter of fact, I'm going to think about how I did it. This is totally not healthy. I can definitely see psychologists being like, Marcus, you need to be put in jail.
Some people are in that dark place, so they need to hear this,
Well, I believe that if you sit there and you're like, okay, well, tomorrow I'm going to do it. And here's how I'm going to do it tomorrow. Everything's tomorrow. Today, I'm going to think about that now. I've got my plan on how to get rid of myself tomorrow. But now, in the meantime, what can I do to make sure that somebody else doesn't die? Okay, I'm going to make sure they don't die. I'm still going to do it, but I'm going to make sure that nobody else does it. Hey, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to save everybody. Are you okay? Are you good? Yeah, excellent. And tomorrow I'm going to die. And then the next day you wake up, you're like, okay, well, maybe I'll just save one more life, and then I'll do it. I'll do it later on tonight or tomorrow, and just keep pushing it off. And because if somebody really wants to kill themselves, they're going to do it.
Right.
So if we can extend their life and they can save a few more people, what I'm just basically hoping is that sometime between when they keep pushing it off to when they finally do it, that in between there, maybe just a little bit of something you say, I say, someone says, will just creep in and be a symbiote. I love fucking symbiotes, right? It's a good thing, right? Venom. But we can just be a symbiote, just get in there a little bit and spread through their body a little bit. Maybe we can be enough where the day that they actually were going to do it, that they bought themselves enough time that we were able to just pause that part of the brain that said, okay, maybe I don't want to do it in general. Because let's be honest, everyone does it because they've reached what they believe is their last bit of the rope. They're like, that's it, it's done. I got nothing left. That's it, I'm going. So if we can just keep stretching that out for as long as possible, and in the meantime, somebody, you, me, the world, people like us, can just poke a little finger in there and be like, hey, you know what? Just so you know, I really like you. And the world would suck if you were gone. I don't think you know how much it would suck if you were gone. Like the big thing now all over the internet is I'd rather to listen to 15 minutes of or hours of your bullshit than 15 minutes of your eulogy, right?
Yep.
And unfortunately, it's been gone so long that people are like, it's lost its oomph. So instead, how about we just say, you know what? What does it take to walk up and be like, you know what? I think the world's a better place with you in it. Now, pedophiles and rapists and fucking piece of shits, like you, if I find out that somebody I'm talking to is a pedophile, you know what? You can go ahead and swallow some Drano and some buckshot right now. Go to it. Yep. But to the other person who's a good person, you're a good person. I want you to be on this earth because you make my world better. Giving them a sense of look. Now, I don't even know if that would help. And again, I can't help it. I don't know Rory, but I know guys like Rory, and I would like. There's a lot of people that I've talked to, and I know it's you as well, that have sent me messages that a simple, hey man, I think you're fucking awesome, and just please don't kill yourself today. I'd like for you to be alive, not harp on them, not fucking vomit on them on all the positives of staying alive, because nobody wants to fucking hear that. Just, hey man, I like you being around.
Yeah.
Then you're not feeling really super alone.
Yeah. I think the other tough part of that is that you mentioned alcohol, and a lot of people, it's an unpopular discussion, especially in the military community. But alcohol is a depressant.
Fuck yeah, it is.
And I think that when you have somebody that's struggling with mental health, alcohol should be one of the first things that goes. And I can tell you from personal experience that there were plenty of nights when I didn't know I was suicidal. I didn't know that, like, I wouldn't call it I was being suicidal, but I was having the kind of the behavior that you were talking about where I shouldn't be alive, you know what I mean? Where I would drink and then take copious amounts of opiates and all kinds of other shit, hoping that I wouldn't wake up.
Yep.
And just wanted to stay asleep and not wake up from it.
Yep.
And I think had I not, been drinking, that probably wouldn't have been a problem. That would have been way less of a problem for me.
Yep.
And I think our decision making ability, our judgment is impaired, when we're under the influence of alcohol, obviously. And it's like when you're in a dark place and the demons and the gremlins are just going to work on your brain, and then you add alcohol into the mix, you want to talk about putting somebody over the edge. It's like, there it is, dude. It's right there for you.
Yep.
And So that's definitely a discussion. Like I said, I posted it online the other day that I'm never going to be the sober preacher guy that, chastises people for drinking. I'm just not going to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. But I do want to talk about the fact that, like, if you are having mental health problems, if you feel suicidal, if you're like in a really, really dark place, like just try, not drinking for a little bit. And it's something that I talked to Dan Clancy, the last guy I did a podcast with, that maybe we need to do a challenge. Maybe we need to make it a challenge within the military community or the veteran community where it's like, I challenge you to stay sober for 3 months or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And like you said, with the whole put it off till tomorrow. I'm not, I'll kill myself tomorrow. Not today, but I'll kill myself tomorrow.
Yeah.
And people have asked me. I know I think it's an AA thing, but I don't go to AA. But it's like, I don't know if I'm ever going to drink, again. But I just know I'm not drinking today, and that's just all you do. It's like I'm not really. I don't know what tomorrow brings or the next day or whatever. I just know today I'm not going to drink, and I feel like it could help a lot of people, in this arena.
I agree, and obviously I'm not a military guy, so I'm surrounded by military people, but I know my lane, so I don't get into it. But the beautiful part about mental health issues is it doesn't discriminate. Right. Everybody's a fuck up. Everybody who has mental health, it doesn't matter whether you're a military guy or you're a fucking housewife or the kid, like everybody's got some kind of a damage. And so, when you start talking about challenges or what have you, like the 22 push-up thing, okay, I swallowed that Kool-Aid. Now, there's a lot of really great programs that have the number 22 in it. And I see that there's a resurgence of 22 push-ups. Now, I've been doing 22 push-ups a whole bunch of times and people still killing themselves. So sorry, it's not the answer.
I've been tagged in so many of those things and I just don't do them. I'm not doing that shit.
Well, and again, it's not, you want to do something, find somebody you think is not doing well. And we all fucking know. I don't give a shit what you say. Everybody knows there's one person that's not doing so good. They don't have to be suicidal. They don't have to have mental health issues. There's just people who aren't doing it good. Instead of doing your 22 push-ups, how about you go over, find that fucking man, woman, or child that you know is having a go and be like, hey, man, yeah, I'm bored. I just want to hang out. You want to hang out with me? Hey, let's go for a meal or whatever. And if they say, let's go for drinks, say, hey, listen, I'd love to, but as a recovering alcoholic, that's probably not good. And you can have a drink anytime you want. But how about today we, go and have a soda or fucking whatever. Yeah. Now, I agree about the alcohol. And obviously, you and I, with being sober, it's we almost go to the extreme of not sharing information so we don't become the sober preachers. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But those people who are mentally unwell or they want to die or whatever. I mean, let's just paint it as I'm in a black box. Just put it that way. I'm in a black box. Well, then just don't do the things. Like drinking was always the easy way to not listening to shitty music, watching shitty movies. Like to this day, I have to stay away from certain movies because I know I was watching them because I could relate to the character. The character of the drunk guy who's angry, wants to kill himself, does heroic things to go and try to get killed and just drink and all that. Those aren't the answer. Watch Finding Nemo. Okay, just keep swimming. Like, okay, it sounds stupid, right? Yeah. Just keep swimming. Do you know how many times I've said that to somebody who's fucking about to pull the trigger? Be like, listen, just remember, just so you know, Nemo had it right. Finding Nemo. just keep swimming. And then the joke comes in, like, then I start saying, just keep swimming, swimming. Yeah, it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. But if you can laugh, I don't know too many people who have laughed and then killed themselves.
Yep.
What kept you from pulling the trigger?
My friends or people that love me finding me with my the mess that it would leave, you know, it's just, that's their last memory of me. There's you know, a big fucking hole in his head, blood everywhere, skull everywhere, and he shit his pants, and it's disgusting, and like that's the last image. That pretty much is what would always go through my mind. And then I just didn't have the courage, because it just didn't seem like that was the way to go. So, but now I would do other stupid shit, and I don't know why fucking bullets didn't hit me, and I don't know why I was able to be away from, like, why did that axe not come at my head where it, you know, it could have.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like things of violence that you dive into because it's not that you're being heroic. You're just hoping somebody will do the job for you because you can't. So I don't know why I didn't. I say the shit thing and the head thing because that's the part that I find is selfish, is that somebody's got to find you.
Yeah. Now,
that's why people like EMT and fire guys and police officers, oh my God. I have so much empathy for them because they're usually they're first on to see that kind of bullshit. But it's the children that find kids, or kids that find, you know what I mean? Like, and that's why I've said it to two teenage, one was a girl and one was a boy. And they were both like dark. I'm like, listen, just remember, because one boy he was big on hanging himself on, just remember, you shit your pants. So when people remember you, I'm going to say his name was Bob Smith. Just remember, Bob Smith, that their memory of you is that you shit your pants.
Yep.
And he looked at me. He's like, get out of here. I'm like, it's a fact, man. Google it.
Yep.
If somebody's really going to do it, they're going to do it. I can't do anything about it. All I can do is try to deflect what power those gremlins have. And I will always use humor. Always. Yeah. Because it's the being serious, that's what gets them in the fucking shitty place anyways, which we know. Right. All of a sudden, our little problem becomes the size of fucking the world. And it's not. It's just not.
Yep.
And what I'd like to know is, how do we sit there and tell somebody who thinks that the whole world is fucking their problem? How do we basically tell them, you know what, it's not? And you're making too much of a big thing of it, but do it in a way that's not like slapping them in the face. I don't want to dismiss somebody's problems,
right?
Because it's their problems and it's huge for them. But of course, it's not that big of a deal, because nothing is that big of a deal. You know, how many people do you know have survived cancer?
Not a couple, but
right. They didn't fucking kill themselves.
Right.
Why not? Fuck, man, they've got cancer. They're going to fucking be dead. Fuck, why not check out, man? So when you put things into perspective, and this is why I'm just waiting for the onslaught of fucking, I get shit on so much about this topic because they're like, Marcus, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I guess not. Just like I don't know what it's like to drink myself to oblivion. Nope, don't know anything about that either.
Nah, I think you do, and I think that's why that's definitely why I'm happy to be talking to you about it. And the other thing I want to ask you about that, we were talking about the 22 push-up challenge stuff you see on social media and whatnot.
Yep.
What impact do you think social media has in terms of mental health? Do you think it's a detriment to mental health? Do you think it's positive to mental health?
No.
And in what ways do you think it's negative?
Well, let's use the pandemic we're in right now. Okay? Our world is split into two groups of people. Oh, sorry, it's three, but the third group, like is so small that I can't count them. The group, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. If you wear a mask, you're an asshole. If you don't wear a mask, you're a fucking asshole. Everybody's just fucking politics. This pandemic, like, there's nothing positive that comes out of fucking social media for the most part. And now I've got to sit there and see this person is fighting with this person. And like the amount of times that I've clicked on something and immediately clicked out because you see where the conversation is going.
Yeah.
Done. I've spent less time on other people's social media in the last few months than I ever have in my life, because it is so cancerous and shitty. And you see the shittiness in people. I thought it was bad enough when fucking the president became president and all that shit and all those people's bullshit. Now I've got the political stuff that we got going on, and I got the fucking pandemic, and stuff, blah, 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 blah. And I got people killing themselves left, right, and center, and I got people with cancer, and I got people who fucking kids are dying. Like, fuck, man.
That's a lot.
You know how you and I both wear glasses. How many times on your phone do you zoom make something bigger by zooming, right? You know what I mean? Like you see somebody, you zoom. Well, social media is like literally like that. Everything's zoomed in. Like everything. Fuck, man. You can't run away from it. You have to escape social media. Why should you? You shouldn't have to escape something. It should be like a good little escape. Hey, what's going on with the world? But it's so fucking shitty. And there's such a bombardment of it. God. I'm actually happy to sit there and see a monkey riding a motorcycle bike trying to kidnap a small child. like something that would normally should be on my radar for, okay, by the way, this is fucked. This is not good. I'm actually looking at it like, thank God a monkey's trying to kidnap a child, because I can't handle all the other bullshit that's going on in the world. Yeah. Like that's, and again, everyone's social media feed is different. They all allow certain things to happen, but social media is a detriment in so many ways. And not to mention how many people on your social media are living such fucking lies.
Yeah, that's something that I talked about in the last podcast, because it's like with social media, you have, I would say it's a detriment, but sometimes it's a necessary evil too. So like for me doing the podcast, there's no way for me to get my podcast out there without using social media, without building the social media up. But it's my platform. I can do whatever I want with it. You know what I mean? I could put whatever content I want out there. I can interact with whoever I want to interact with. But I do see for people who have experienced trauma and people that are suffering from mental health issues, that it is a detriment, man, because you're constantly comparing yourselves with people who it's not a real, true picture. And a lot of people don't get that, you know? And like for me, what was cool was that I've done a bunch of podcasts with people all over the country. And part of that was I got to see firsthand who people really were in the flesh, not just behind an Instagram profile. You know what I mean? So it's like some people that come across, it's like you look on social media, it's like, dude, they are balling. They got all kinds of money. They're super happy, this and that. And then you see them in real life and you're like, it's so far removed from the truth where it's like, dude, the sad thing about that is that people are actually looking up to these individuals thinking that their life is so terrible because those people have it all together, everything's dialed. But if they knew the truth, they'd be like, oh, dude, they're just as fucked as I am.
Yeah,
you know?
Or worse.
Right. Yeah. So it's a tough conundrum though, you know what I mean? Because it's like it's a necessary evil for like to build your positive. Like for me, I want to have a positive platform. I don't want to promote negativity. I've been very fortunate. I haven't had a lot of haters like coming and talking shit on my page and whatever, which is great. And I hope it stays that way. But I think as I grow, negativity is just, people are just prone to want to chime in and kind of, just talk shit and create turmoil and shit like that. But I don't know, man. I think the other thing that I hope happens with social media is people have more of a calling to be real, to call it what it is. Like I said today on my post, like, you don't have to always just be positive, dude. Like, shit can suck sometimes, you know what I mean? You could have a bad fucking day. I'm not going to paint some picture that like, dude, like everything's so fucking good. My marriage is fucking rock solid. My kids are fucking awesome. Like this, it's like, but that's not always true. You know what I mean? Like it's just not. And I think we need more of that. We need more authenticity. People like really showing up and being like, this is what's up, you know?
Yeah, but where I immediately will be like, nope, that won't happen, is only because of the fact that takes a certain type of vulnerability or vulnerability. I always fuck up that word.
Because you're from Canada.
True story. Fuck, I can't even spell it. But to be that vulnerable about who you are, it just won't happen. You've heard the term saving face, right? Yeah. Okay, it's big in the Asian community. I'm actually bringing up Asia. Hopefully nobody won't fucking come and kill me, but saving face causes so many. There's a lot of people with broken noses because they were trying to save face. Right. Okay, so they became macho and they became instead of just disengaging or decelerating the situation, they fucking wanted to save face and the pride kicked in, so they got punched in the fucking mouth. Well, that is social media. Everybody wants to save face. Oh, I don't want to look like I'm having a shitty fill in the blank. And it goes back to because nobody fucking wants to hear it. You know, nobody wants. You there?
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that.
Okay. Yep. But nobody wants to hear it. They don't. And they don't want to hear it because of the fact that they know that their life is not so good. So they want the look at their people they put on a fucking pedestal, and I want them to show me that there's hope, that this is what the life is supposed to be like. And I'm like, are you like, seriously, did you get smashed in the head with a bat? Everybody bleeds, cries, and shits the same way. So how is one person special when everybody makes the same faces when they shit? Everybody. Right. Everybody. So when you start to live through other people on social media because, you know, you're not happy with your life, the minute that they start to be transparent and say, well, this is really how I feel, well, the person that wants to live vicariously through them is just going to tune out and be like, well, fuck, next. There will be some other man or woman that's got no clothes on or driving a Ferrari or Lamborghini. I want to look at those people. Transparent behavior is for the strong. And by strong, I don't mean like altogether fucking strong. I mean like fucked up, like fine, fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. That kind of strong, right. You know, and that's why you and I gravitate to each other. That's why I gravitate towards many of the people that you're having in this series, because the strength of being like, yep, I am a complete and utter fuck up. My life sucks. And I'm going to stay one day. I'm just going to wake up today and I'm just going to try to get through this 24 hours, you know? And, fuck, I try not to bring too many other people up, but Jeff Bosley. Yeah. Jeff Bosley, the most transparent motherfucker on the planet. And there's times I'm like, Jesus, Jeff, can you catch a fucking break? Yep. Fuck. And he's just, his following of people, which I fucking hate that word, but his tribe are so loyal to him because of the fact that he's like, you know what? Yeah, I got 30 cents in my bank account. Mr. Hollywood fucking movie star, 30 cents in my bank account. For me, for you, for other people, that is fucking awesome. Love that transparency. No bullshit. No fucking bullshit. You know? In this times now with the pandemic situation and businesses crumbling, and, you know, I'm curious what the suicide stats are like, because you don't hear a lot about it.
That's astronomical. No, for sure. Yep.
Yeah. So if there's anything that we know for sure, now's the time for us to be kinder than ever before. And, you know, like, fuck, stupid shit that pisses me off. Like, you got somebody who's got a small restaurant, right? And instead of going to that small restaurant, you decide to go to ABC big corporation because they're all in business. Why not just make the extra 20-minute fucking ride, go and pay more for your fucking burrito or whatever the fuck you're gonna buy, just because that burrito, it maybe they're still gonna go bankrupt, but maybe they just sat there and by taking that burrito and you walking by and be like, listen, man, that's all I got, but I'll take that fucking beef and cheese burrito right now because you're the fucking best guy ever for it and I love you. Yeah, his business is probably still gonna go under. But he might not fucking suck on a bullet or jump into a train or fucking kill himself because he still feels he has value. Yeah, he failed in business because the fucking world collapsed. But somebody came by and let him see that, you know what, you still have value, you still have purpose. You're not defined by this fucking brick and mortar bullshit. Whatever you're going to do, tell me, I'll come and support that too. Like, what's it take, man? What does it fucking take to go and be kind, authentically kind?
It's like Kathleen and I go to there's a Mexican restaurant that when I was growing up, there's a little Mexican restaurant in the town we grew up in, and the guy who owned it opened up another one in another city that I ended up living in as an adult, and we live like 35 miles away from there, but we drive all the way over there just to get food from there. Because it's like, it's not a corporation. It's a Mexican restaurant that the guy's owned it. I've known him since I was a kid. And it's like, no, I'm going to support his business. Of course I am. You know, like it's the right thing to do, you know, and don't get it wrong. You know, like there's times where I haven't felt like cooking or whatever. And I just DoorDash like, you know, California Pizza Kitchen or whatever, just cause I'm in a rush or whatever. But I will go out of my way to try my best to like help as much as I can. And I think more people should. If more people were doing that, we wouldn't be as bad off for sure.
No, we wouldn't. Well, we would. I believe that the businesses would still be fucked, but the ownership and the staff would definitely have just a reprieve from I suck.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, yeah.
I want to ask you too, how did you, when you've been in your darkest hour, your darkest places you've ever gone, how did you get out of there? How did you get out of that dark place, and how do you get out of those dark places when you get there now?
Back then, it was waking up, right? Because I'd drink myself to oblivion. It was waking up, and usually because when I would wake up, I'd have my next client right away. So there's fucking for the job, I had to get up and do the job, so it would snap me out until I had time to actually sit and be by myself, and then fucking just drink myself to oblivion again. And that was the standard MO. That was the cycle. Every day I got up, I'd be like, really? Okay, I guess I couldn't do it last night either. Okay, and then just keep going until I had to be quiet. And then when I was quiet, that was never a good time, because that's when my current truth would overrun my brain, right? And I wouldn't find something to distract it. And then I'd bad music, bad movies, drinking, like repeat the cycle over and over and over again. Now when it gets dark, I don't run away from it, and I do shut down and I get quiet. And the only thing that's constantly keeping me from doing anything permanent is that I know it will not last. I'm 51 years old, man. The amount of stuff that I've made it to this far. I know certain realities. One, money will come and go.
True.
Right? I mean, the very worst case scenario is I'm going to be fucking absolutely broke, and I'll need to do what I've had to do during this pandemic. I've found jobs and doing things that I haven't had to do since I was in my 20s. Do I like doing it? No, but it's just, I just got to do what I got to do. When my brain gets really, really dark, though, it's I don't deny it. I have to let it run its course, because if I block it, it's almost like I've put the dam up and the water is just building higher, man. Yep. So I just let it go. I cry when I want to cry. When it's a really bad negative thought, I just let it happen. I say, okay, wow, you haven't thought that thought in a long time. And I'm maybe it's just because I'm not smart enough. I don't try not to analyze it and just be like, okay, that's some old bullshit coming out. You need to stop that shit, Marcus. Stop that shit. You're better off alive than you are dead.
What advice would you want to give to somebody that's at that point, though, in a dark place? Like, what's the advice you'd want to give them?
One, I would definitely say reach out. Definitely reach out. And I know I'm just a hypocrite right there, right? But I'm a hypocrite only because I'm probably older than the person that's going through this shit right now. And to somebody who's going through stuff where they feel their whole world's imploding, reach out to someone and just say, look, man, I'm just not doing good. You don't have to get into specifics, man. And truthfully, if you listening to this and you're in a dark place, you're like, I got nobody to listen to, man. Nobody. Well, I call bullshit, because there's two people right now that you can send a message to and just be like, hey, man, I don't know you and I fucking hate my life. I don't know I can speak for both me and you, brother, that will fucking message you back. And be like,
my personal number is on my Instagram. Anybody can hit me up anytime, like my cell phone.
Yeah. So you can never say you're fully, truly alone. All you can say is that you don't have people you feel you can reach out to. Now, reach out is my first thing. And secondly, don't drink, right? Don't drink and don't listen to shitty music.
Yep.
Right? Put on a movie that you actually enjoy watching that's good for you, right? That doesn't involve people drinking and killing themselves or doing heroic acts of bullshit. And the last thing I would say to them is to try to have this on a constant loop in your brain. Don't do something permanent because of something temporary. Even though this feels permanent, it's not. It really isn't. It will hit a peak and then it will start to come down. And at its peak, that's where you just got to be like, hey, man, eventually what goes up has to go down. You remember that dude that had to push the rock up? You remember that? The mythological, there was a guy who was punished and he had to push this stone up for the rest of his life. Somebody's going to know the story to this. Anyways, this guy was punished by whomever, God, Jesus, the world, whatever. And he would have to push this like 1,000-pound stone up a hill. That was his punishment. Right. And that the story goes that, yes, while he had to push that up, it was fucking hell. But when it went down the hill, he could take as long as he wanted to go down that hill. And he could do it. He could look at the sun. He could look at the flowers. He could pick it up. He could do whatever he wanted on the way down. Yep, he had to go fucking put that bitch back up there. Right. But he always on the downhill, he could always do what he wanted. And if nothing else, this hard part that you're in, the darkest part where it's just fucking, that's it. I'm going to hang myself. That's it. I'm going to be fucking done. Hold on. Wait a minute. Just remember that it will pass, just like every other storm. And I've posted this a million times. After every single storm in the history of mankind, there's always a fucking rainbow.
Right. Or
there's sun. There's always sun after a storm. That's just the way that it works. After a storm, clouds go away, they get blown away, and comes sunlight. That storm could be a week, a month, a year, fucking 10 years. But every storm has breaks in it that you have some little bit of sunlight. So it's never completely dark all the time. So just don't do anything permanent. It's temporary. Then just make it till tomorrow. Just make it till tomorrow. Yeah. Please, just wait till tomorrow. If you still feel the same way tomorrow, see what happens. But just make it through one more day.
Oh, fuck, man. I love that advice, and I'm so fucking stoked that you came on here and shared your truth, your story. And I really do believe that, like, by you sharing this stuff is, like, it's going to help people. People are going to listen to this episode and be like, holy shit. All right, man, I got another day in me, you know? And some amazing takeaways, brother. And I got so much love for you, dude. And I really do appreciate you coming on here.
Well, I'm not going to lie, Josh. When you told me I was coming on this thing and I looked at the list of people you were having on, I'm not going to lie. I was like, the fuck? Is he doing this because we're buddies? Like, the fuck do I have? You got some big fucking name lineup, hard hitting, charging fucking awesome dudes. So take that bullshit away and just know that I am forever thankful that I was given this opportunity to let this stuff out, because I don't let this out on social media, right? I don't, because it's not really the platform for me to do it. So to be given this opportunity to say these things that I've never really been able to say out loud to many different people, I say it to individuals, has been, I think, probably more healing for me than it will ever be for anybody else. But I do hope that one person listens to my ramblings and is like, yeah, okay, for a fucking Canadian, he's actually got a good point there. you know. And if everybody could just keep singing, just keep swimming, fuck, man, that'd be dope. Matter of fact, you want just hashtag that every time you watch this podcast. Just hashtag just keep swimming. I'll fucking love you guys.
I gotta, dude. I want to show you something real quick. It's gonna blow your mind. Hold on 1 second. Just recently, my wife and I started a pool company.
Yep.
A pool servicing company.
I follow that.
Yeah, I love it, dude. And so, anyway, she just made her business cards, and it says, you know, her name, you know, Kat Boyer, and you know, Sunkist Pool Service, and this and that, and her slogan on the back. I didn't talk to her about it. I didn't say anything to her. It's just keep swimming.
Oh, get out of here!
I swear to God, when I don't know where she put her business cards, but when I find one, I'm gonna send you a picture of it, just so you know I'm not bullshitting you.
Yeah, that is yeah. Priceless.
Just keep swimming. And now it just took on a whole new meaning for me even. So I'm like, holy shit, that is amazing how that works. that is fantastic. I can't. Yeah, I know we're not doing the video on this, but you can see the smile on my face. Like, you couldn't take it off with a fucking sledgehammer. Oh my god, that's awesome, dude. That is awesome. So how can people find you? How can they find you on social media, and what's the best way for people to connect with you?
Well, I mean, Facebook, I've got 2 pages. I'm the only Marcus Torgerson. I think I'm the only Marcus Torgerson. And then Instagram is just at Marcus Torgerson. And the hard part is my fucking last name is where people get fucked up. So the Torgerson, like Torgerson. Right. But you know, I'm pretty easy to find, and everything's public. So you don't even have to like or follow or any of those stupid fucking terms. My shit's public, so you can be in the shadows and still look at the bullshit that I have to say and promote and do.
That's awesome. So for any of you listeners that are listening to this episode, if you go to Marcus's page, at Marcus Torgerson on Instagram, click the link in his bio or just send him a DM, and you can actually go to, I might have something in my bio as well, but he's doing online training classes. So, yeah, you know, so hey, I'll promote you. It's all good, dude. That's why you're here. It's cool. So now he's doing online training, and so if you want to talk about that real quick, go ahead.
Okay, it's very simple. There's a lot of people who feel that the idea of self-protection and self-empowerment, and you know, basically, as you know, my hashtag is be a nightmare for bad guys, that it's really fucking difficult, and it's not. The mentality and movement, that whole thing I'm doing, is because altering your mentality and learning some movements to protect yourself are so fucking simple. Now with this online thing, you know, I've taken away every excuse you have. I don't have money. You know what? I've got sponsored classes. People have already paid it forward, which is absolutely fantastic. So you don't have to pay shit. Okay, well, I don't have any room. If you have enough room of your bathroom, you have enough room to do these fucking sessions. So I have money gone, space gone. Oh, I don't have any athletic ability. Good, because I don't need people with athletic ability. I've worked with everybody from handicapped people, fully disabled people, to athletes, to tier 1 people. Everybody can do this shit. There's not one human being alive that can't do what I'm asking them to do. So I've taken away all the excuses, and they're 30-minute sessions. You can do anything for 30 minutes. Okay?
Yeah.
Anything. So, and the platforms are easy. We either do FaceTime, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and now with the Zoom shit, maybe even Zoom. Okay?
Yeah.
So there's a ton of different ways to go about it now with technology. And you can't say you don't have time because, you're in isolation.
So you got plenty of time.
You got plenty of time. So that's so the hardest part is to just commit to say, okay, I'm gonna just listen to his bullshit, Marcus's bullshit, for 30 minutes. And then if you like it, you can continue. If you don't, fucking do what everybody else does. Marcus, I liked it, but I'm good. So then they go and pay for a session for the next person, and that whole pay it forward. Really quickly, the only thing that this isolation thing has done, this pandemic, has renewed my faith in humanity, because these online courses, you were the first guy. You were the first guy to do it. I wasn't going to do them because I fucking hate asking for money for something that I do. I hate it. You know it better than I do how much I hate it. Right. The minute that you sponsored those classes, I was like, okay, I can do this. I have a skill set that I'm good at.
Yes, you do.
And now I'm able to give it to the people who really need it, who perhaps, and it's not like, there's a lot of people who have money. They have money, but they don't know if they're going to fucking work. They have no idea. So they've got to watch every dollar. So if you have to watch every dollar, here's an idea. I have a way for you to do these classes and not have to worry about spending any money. Save that money for your family, because people who are in different situations were able to help out. It's not charity. It's just giving back. And if everybody gives back, there's that fucking circle, and all of a sudden life is good and the world is a type of utopia,
Yeah. Yeah, I can't tell you, man, even moving your body for mental health, even, it's like, you have the benefits of that, of like just learning a new skill, moving your body, feeling your power, is like, it's so healing, man, in a lot of ways. So I highly recommend people doing it.
Fear is the number one fucking problem we have right now. Everyone's fear about 100%. Everything. And now, what about violence? You think violence is taking a break? You think, oh, COVID, I'm a criminal. I'm just going to wait till this thing calms over. Yeah. Don't worry, guys. I'll get back to you when the government says it's clear. I'll come back and rob you later. Fuck, man. Come on, wake up. Violence isn't going anywhere. So why not learn a couple things to be able to protect yourself? And if that's not your gig, right, you're like, fuck, I don't want to even think about violence. How about just learning some cool things that'll be just fun to teach your family? Yeah, it's easy. It's easily not replaceable, but it's easy to replicate. That's the reason why it's so fucking easy to learn, because you can sit there and teach your loved one in 5 seconds. Anyways, so there you go.
So you guys heard it. So if you guys are looking for some classes or whatever, you can hit up Marcus and do an online class with him, and I highly recommend it. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to leave all the listeners with this. Whenever you're in your dark place, whenever you feel like you've hit your rock bottom, find something every day to either laugh about or smile about. And I promise you, it'll change your day. Have a good one.
Right on.
Later, bro.
Later.
Thank you for listening to My Backstory. Stay motivated and stay connected off the show. Follow at my_backstory_ to be a part of the journey to recovery and to see where your story goes. Or visit us online at hereismybackstory.com.